fifth grade Into Math lesson 5.6, part 2. So on your own, use structure. Carla is making a fabric chair filled with foam using the design shown. He wants to find the amount of foam he needs to make the chair. Describe how to find the volume of the chair by breaking apart the figure into right rectangular prisms. Okay, so can we go ahead and break it apart right here and go vertically? Yeah, okay. So first of all, what is our formula? Volume equals length times width times height. Now, if we go ahead and look at the next thing, it says describe how to find the volume using subtraction. So this way we're going to use addition, right? Okay, so the volume of this first box is, what's the length? 20, right? What's the width? 20, because it goes back right here, 20. And what's the height? 40. Okay, so we're going to take 20 times 20, which is 400 times 16. So I can just take 16 times 400 and pop out the zeros, right? And bring the zeros down. So 0, 0, 4 times 6 is, put the 4, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So the first box is 6,400 inches cubed. So now we need to find the volume of the other rectangular prism, correct? Okay, so the length of this one is what? 40. The width is, actually the length would have been 20, right? The length would have been 20, the width would have been 5, right? And the height would have been 40. Okay, so what is 5 times 20? 100, and then times 40 is 4,000. So if we add those, then we get 10,400 inches cubed, right? Now they want us to find out where we kind of subtract this open area, right? So the full thing, so once again, volume equals length times width times height. So our height is 40, right? Okay, what is our width? So what is this right here? Sorry, length would be 20, right? So what's that width of that whole thing right there? Well, this is 20, right? And then you have another 5. So what's 20 plus 5? 25. So what is 20 times 40? 800, right? And then 800 times 25, what is 8 quarters? It's $2. I mean 200, and then add 2 more zeros, right? So the whole thing of that thing would be 20,000 inches cubed. Okay, but now we need to find this open area right here, right? Okay, so it'd be 20, right? 20 by 20, right? Because this part right here would be 20. This part going back would be 20, right? Now we need to figure out the height. So this whole thing is 40, right? But this part right here is only 16. So what is 40 minus 16? 24, right? Okay, so what is 20 times 20? 400, right? So what's 4 times 24? 24 times 4. So 16, carry the 1. So 9, right? So 96 and add 2 zeros. And then what do we need to do with those numbers? We need to subtract. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. This becomes a 10. This becomes a 9. And this becomes a 1. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 9 minus 9 is 0. And bring down the 1. So do we get the same thing? Yeah. So 10,400 inches cubed. So like we stated before, you can either break it into 2 rectangular prisms and then add, or you can find the whole area of one big block, right? And then subtract the empty space. Okay, so find the volume of the composed figure. So I don't know how you guys like to do it, but I personally, unless it's pretty straightforward what needs to be subtracted, I like to break it into 2 boxes. So do you guys want to do the 2 boxes, or do you want to find the empty area? 2 boxes? Okay, so let's do that for number 4. So volume equals length times width times height. So my volume is going to equal for the first one. Do you guys want to go right here and go horizontally? Okay, so for the first one, my length is 8, right? My width is 8, and my height is 2. Okay, so that gets me, what's 8 times 8? 64, and what's 64 times 2? 128. Okay. All right, then the next one is volume equals, what's our length for this one? 3, right? What's our width? 4. And what's our height? 2. So 12 times 2 is 24. So then I'm going to add them. So 12, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 5. And then bring down the 1. So 152 centimeters cubed, or 152 cubic centimeters, correct? Okay, let's do the next one with subtraction. Let's try it, okay? So we would have our dotted line right here, correct? All right, so to find the whole thing, so we still use volume equals length times width times height, right? Okay, so volume equals, what's the dimensions of the whole thing? So the length is 8, the width is 5, and the height is 6. So 8 times 5 is 40 times 6 is, that equals 240, right? Okay, so then, okay, for the next part, we need to find the missing kind of open area, right? Okay, so the length of this right here is what? You have 8 down here and 3 up here. So what's that? 8 minus 3 is 5. Okay, the width right here stays the same as down here, so 5, right? Right? Okay, and then the height. So from here up to here, so you have 6 over here and 2 over here. So what is that? 4. So they're going to have 5 times 4, right? So 25 times 4, what's 4 quarters? 100. So in this case, we're not going to add it. We're going to subtract it. So 0, 4, 1. So our answer is 140 cubic centimeters, or you can put 140 centimeters cubed. All right, number 6 reason the volume of the figure shown is 88 cubic inches. What is the unknown number? Explain how you know. Okay, so 8 goes all the way across, right? Okay, but first of all, we need to figure out what our different parts are, right? Okay, because we're gonna have to find that missing number. So which way do you want to go? Go vertically or horizontally? Okay, well, we don't know either of those guys. So which way should we go? We need to go this way, right? Okay, but then we also don't know that either, right? But we do, right? Because this is 7 right here, the full height, right? And this is 3. So 7 minus 3 is 4. So volume equals length times width times height, right? So volume equals, what's our length? 8. What's our width? 2. And what's our height? 4. Okay, so 8 times 8 is 64. So this would be 64. So we're going to take 88 minus 64, and what does that get us? 24, right? So the volume of this other cube is 24, right? So we know that it would be 24 equals, and then our height is 3, correct? Okay, and then our width is what? This right here is the same as this right here, correct? So what is that? 2. So now we need to find the length. Okay, so what would the length be? We don't know, right? So 24 equals L times 6. So to get L by itself, we do what? Do the inverse operation, right? So what's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So what I do on one side, I do on the other. So L equals 4. So this right here equals 4. But to find this full thing is 8. So 8 minus 4 is 4. So our missing part is 4 inches. Correct? Okay. All right, so find the volume of the composed figure. So we're going to go ahead and work those out, and then if you're working them at home, you'll have to do them on your own.